Hello, this is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambone, giving you an update. Today is May the 30th, 2015. I have recently discovered or remembered in some logical way through my own deductions and the facts and events that I had a stroke in 1983. I was in the U.S. Navy on the USS Reed FFG-30 stationed out of Terminal Island in Long Beach, California. We had gone out on a nuclear voyage, and I remember I had been hit easily, or actually I remember I was hit with some nuclear stuff. I've got a claim pending. The government's been dragging their feet saying they didn't have evidence, which makes me wonder about a few things. There was some teeth found at the Long Beach Naval Station incinerators. That was over, I was told that when I was working at Long Beach Naval Shipyard. And they had found them sometime after the base closed. I left there in 1984, so I think it closed the base in 1985, but the incinerators had teeth. Petty Officer Colburn had a fight with a bunch of Brits at the Long Beach Naval Station Enlisted Club, and I think he lost maybe some teeth and bit his tongue in half. He might have been killed when he left, I don't know. That's a good question. I know that I believe we were hit with Psych ops on that ship. Also, we had 4 men who were killed at the, as I've mentioned in earlier videos, on the Terminal Island Naval Station bridge to San Pedro, California. There was a bridge, the first exit to the right is where the accident occurred for 4 young men who were killed in early 1983 before we made the nuclear voyage. It's my belief that some may have been making room for saboteurs on the boat, on the USS Reed FFG-30, because at a later time we fired a bunch of missiles one week, and they went to places they weren't supposed to go, obviously because of events afterward, including an alleged nuclear bomb going off in the Pacific Ocean, and my own self being contaminated by nuclear contamination, having tumors and other ill effects. I also had a stroke. I remember Psych ops against the ship, I believe. The ship's log, or it's like a notebook that was kept on the bridge of events at sea, were kept by myself during that voyage. I would not be surprised if the ship log wasn't exchanged whenever I believe we might have been commandeered. As I thought about this thing a good long while, now the question becomes who really controls the USA, because it seems so smooth the way it operated. It's like, you know, it makes you think back in the 50s when they used to put American servicemen next to nuclear blasts to see the effects on those servicemen. That is basically what happened to me and the captain. I was exposed. I call him, his name was Captain Barnett. I call him Captain Tenrad Chip Barnett. I say that lightheartedly because whenever the bomb went off from underneath the boat, a small one, a release of nuclear matter, it was getting a reading of 19.6 rad, I believe, and or 19.6 is the reading was they were getting. The captain jumped back, but I was hit. I don't know if some other things happened. I seem to recall Psych ops going on. I remember 3 instances. One instance was when we were refueling. That was the week that we fired all our missiles off. And I believe something might have been hit. I believe while we were refueling at sea, Psych ops were instigated against the ship, very possibly. I would say that at probably 99% probability. Of course, they might call me crazy as a Betsy bug, but considering I had a stroke and they did not treat me for it all that time from 1983, I wouldn't be surprised they didn't call me crazy because they'd owe me a few dollars. Also, I know of some other men whose children were harmed by being on the ship, or our future children, and I also know of other sailors who were hurt on the USS Reed FFG-30, and the government's been dragging their feet. I believe many men were killed at sea and on the base that year. That was the year after the Falkland Islands War had allegedly ended. But what had happened, it had escalated with the death of Argentinian sailors, with the allegedly with the UK ship and against the Argentinians. I see it as a European onslaught for somebody who controls parts of Europe, basically dictating their will on the Argentina. It would be similar to the islands off of Southern California belonging to Russia. It's just my own personal opinion on that one. Have considered taking up sides with Argentina in the matter, because in a clear conscience, it would seem to me the islands belong to them, and the British now control those islands, or the alleged British. However, that is not my fight, as my father put it. I just drove the boat, I maintained the ship's log, and I was assistant to the officer of the deck. Let me see here. My mind has come back on this, on the events at sea. There was another incident in which we were approaching or going out to sea. It was after we'd fired the missiles 1 week, all of our missiles. We went back to the port, and then we went back out that following week with an alleged nuclear blast at sea. There was, when we got out there was a British tender allegedly with equipment on it, and I believe another round of Psych ops. The first week was whenever we had the little torpedo thing fired at us. It was actually no torpedoes, more like a fuel line, and it had this it was like a large black line fired from one ship to another, and they already had a lead line running for it, in my opinion. Of course, like I said, I've had a stroke, so I'm not really sure I was hit with a nuclear blast. And the government never did anything. I used to pass out and wake up with nosebleeds and be in the middle of a conversation and pass out and wake up with nosebleeds. And I would forget things a lot, and my girlfriend was actually witness to this at the time. I was also, I was finally injured when I fell, and that was that. Soon I got out of the Navy, but they never acknowledged the stroke. Amazing. I went to a vet center and in the year 1995, and the vet center rep told me I should go stare out the window and don't say anything. I didn't know what he meant, and I'm probably sure that I was probably showing signs of stroke, and a lot of our men had been killed at sea or on the shore. I believe the United States was divided up in two, as evidenced by what has happened in the past 30 years as far as laws and separation of business and the nature of banking. The United States has half the nation selling marijuana to each other, being the western half. The eastern half has no rights to that. What I would consider just a substance that's no worse than alcohol. However, it has made some people very rich. I think it's cruel to have people who are using it sent to jail in states such as Alabama, considering many of those men had families who at one time either walked in chains or suffered under those same people who put others in chains. I'm talking about what happened there versus now. It seems like the same thing's happening again. Also, the banking industry has become deregulated, meaning it's international in scope. It's almost like having two machines running against each other. If you divide the East and the West with drug and money laundering for drugs on the West primarily, and on the East, the international exploitation of what is left in that region, including industry and oil and other resources. In the banking industry, as you will know, Wachovia Bank was shut down on the East Coast, basically because of international money laundering. And Wachovia Bank, that was in 2008, at the beginning of what I consider a Mexican war, and I was still heavy into my stroke. And that was, Wachovia Bank was, let me see, Casio de Cambio Puebla on the Mexican border was laundering money with them, and an alleged Londoner busted them for money laundering, the largest in history, which became Wells Fargo Bank. And I've heard some questions about Bank of America, so who owns who. The banking business has never been pretty. It's a lot like war. That's what I experienced at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation in the year 1999 and 2000. In 1999, I saw one of my bosses almost, he came to his office. He had almost been blown up in his subdivision with fuel. He was isolated in a corner of his office. I went over there and stood by him, and he was quarantined, and he told me if I opened the door that was there next to us that they would kill me. I didn't think made much of it. At the time, I wasn't that worried about it. However, now I don't think they would have killed me. They would have done something with Psych ops or something of that sort. You can be knocked unconscious very easily. I hear a lot of talk about nuclear weapons. These are very obsolete weapons. A lot of nuclear weapons are. There's other weapons. These Psych op weapons can take those exploding bullets out of the hands of the people who own them. And that is the nature of that fact. My own captain warned me of this. And God bless him wherever he is. Hope he's not dead. This is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambone, former FDIC bank examiner, former USN quartermaster, analyst in the what I would consider the Psych ops wars and other weapons, and pretty much also an investigative journalist who is pretty much out of it. I don't try to avoid too much, but 2 strokes. They give you 2 strokes and they give you 2 strikes. They give you 3 strokes and they give you 3 strikes. Dead in the eye. Mobile Audit Club. Look for the queerest of the queer painting at the Mobile Audit Club website. You'll find there Swede Carol pecking Carn under the large and swollen testicles of the dire fags of the USS Reed FFG-30, blinded by stroke and Psych ops. Kurt Brown, Saint Rambone, Mobile Audit Club.